Hello, welcome to RC Video Reviews. It is Thanksgiving night. I hope everybody had a lovely Thanksgiving holiday. I know we had a spectacularly good Thanksgiving holiday. And during the course of that holiday, my daughter and wife both said, Dad, you ought to make a video on what women should buy, the men in their lives that are into radio control, because you people are impossible to buy for. And if you just put it all in a video, we could go watch the video and buy something nice. And I thought, that's actually a really good idea. And what I did, I put together what I'll call my wish list. So this is a real simple one. Everything on this wish list that I don't already have, I would wish I did. I'll put it that way. I'd wish I had it. So this is more for those of you looking for some gift ideas. Maybe it's for the man in your life who flies radio control, or the wife in your life that flies radio control, if that's the case. But whatever the case, here's some, I just wanted to go through things that would be on my wish list if I didn't already have them. So we'll start out with one of the most obvious ones. I think the Radio Master, I've got a couple of these. I think the Radio Master TX16S Mark II is probably one of the best value equation and competent radios you can buy on the market today. Just that simple. For $220, what you see on the screen is an amazingly competent radio, highly competent, great firmware, good hardware. It's a great radio system for that money. So the Radio Master TX16S Mark II with Express LRS, just an outstanding radio system. This is the radio that I use as my daily driver, and I fly everything I own with this radio. The next one is another Radio Master radio. A slight variation in this one. If you're not familiar, the RF or the radio technology is slightly different in this one. This is the 4-in-1 module. So very similar to the last one. Little bit of a cosmetic difference with the plastic on the faceplate. The other one was carbon fiber. This one's black. But this one internally, the big difference is it's the 4-in-1 module versus the Express LRS module. So the 4-in-1 module makes it a very competent radio for lots of different types of receivers and planes. So I just think this one is excellent as well. And this is the other radio that I have that I fly my helicopters and quads with. So Radio Master TX16S Mark II, a 4-in-1, awesome radio combination. And then you can also pair this radio up with the next item on my list, which is the Radio Master Ranger Micro Express LRS 2.4. These things work great. I flew with these modules for a very long time before I went to an internal Express LRS module. So these little modules, they just snap right in the back of the TX16S. You only really need this if you get the 4-in-1 radio. You don't really need this if you're using an internal Express LRS radio, unless for some reason you want two different Express LRS transmitters. You could do that. There might be some use cases for that, but this would really complement the 4-in-1 radio quite well. So the Express LRS radio, the Radio Master Ranger Micro Express LRS module, definitely an awesome addition to a 4-in-1 radio, no question about it. All right, next up are these awesome Radio Master ER6. This is the last Radio Master thing. It's not a Radio Master thing tonight, but I led off with Radio Master because these are central to the hobby, and I think this RF tech is just amazing. The Express LRS technology that we have right now out there is just spectacular, and these ER6 receivers are really good. The numbers they post in terms of performance for link quality, RSSI, they latch on to your radio on the ground like a pit bull with lockjaw. And when I fly planes, my good planes, they all get these receivers. And for $26, it's just absolutely ludicrous that they can even do this, because the mainstream competition for this type of functionality would probably run you somewhere around $75, $80. So a 6-channel Express LRS ER6 from Radio Master, these things are awesome and I love them. And I do keep a stash of these, by the way. I have these stashed. I have spares. So if I build a new one, a new model, I can stick one of these in there. All right. So next up is the Power Queen LifePo Battery. Now, if you follow the channel, you know the one that I got is a little different than this, but it doesn't matter. The thing about it, this has got to be, if I do an end of the year video, which I might do, a retrospective on the year, this might make my list of top 10 things in RC. And the reason for it is because this has got to be one of the best things I've come up with all year long. I put 2 of these in series, put them in the back of my car, and I can charge at 100 amps. I can discharge or regen discharge at 100 amps. I'm completely self-sufficient. With 2 of these in series, I can charge about 25 6L 5000s in a single flight day. So I absolutely love this little LifePo battery system that I came up with, and I'm glad I did it. And I found these, there's not a lot of difference in the technology. So the pair that I found, the one that I bought, they don't sell anymore. So I just put an equivalent specification battery up on the screen for you. And this one also has a $12 coupon. So $229 if you want to do 12S, which is fine. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Or if you want to do 24 volt, I said 12S. I meant 12 volt, 12 volt. So that would be 3S. Okay. If you want to do 6S or 25 volt, you get 2 of these, put them in series, and throw them in the back of your car, and you can charge and discharge anything. I even put a picture on my Discord of me charging a couple of batteries, 4 batteries, at a combined rate of something like 35 amps just out of the back of my car. And I can do that all day long. But one of the best scams I came up with all year in RC, grab a couple of these LifePo batteries. And notice that the key thing to look for is this thing, the 100 amp BMS. With 100 amp BMS, that means you can take 100 amps out, you can put 100 amps in, and the BMS will ensure that you don't charge or discharge it beyond the specifications for the battery. So it's a great solution for radio control. I absolutely love it. I'm glad I did it. And this is definitely a wish list item, no question about it. All right, next up we have HRB batteries. Now the reason I included HRBs is because these are kind of like one of the best kept secrets on the internet. The HRBs, they're not super high strength batteries. Like they don't have a ridiculously high C rating, but they're good. And for the money, it's very hard to beat them. So the HRBs, and they have a lot of different sizes too. So check out HRB. They've got they've got 6 cell, 3 cell, 4 cell, you know, a whole bunch of different sizes, a whole bunch of different capacities. I actually have been flying these in my smaller helicopters for like a year and a half, and the batteries are still just chugging along just fine. And if you know anything about LiPo batteries and helicopters, you know that you're kind of hitting the battery kind of hard. Even though I'm fly mild 3D, you know, or maybe a little bit of sport flying, you still kind of hit the battery hard. And my HRBs are just holding up really, really well. And you can see right now there's a Black Friday deal, 33% off a 6L 5000 for $50. That's pretty good. That's not great. It's not like earth shattering, but it's pretty good. That's a fair price for that. So these HRB batteries, they're decent batteries. That's all I can say. They're decent. They seem to perform quite well, and mine have held up quite well. All right, next up, this was the delightful little surprise at the end of the year for me, the Hoda F6. This is the one that I have plugged into that battery system I was talking about, and this is the charger that allowed me to hit 4 batteries simultaneously at a combined 32 amps, and all 4 batteries were different profiles. So this is actually a fairly powerful charger, and notice they only have 3 in stock. When I started this video, there were 6. so if you're interested, get out there and grab this one. But the Hoda F6, I got to tell you, I've only had 1 flight day with it, so I don't have long-term data, but I can tell you on my 1 flight day, it performed quite well. It's a very competent charger, great specs on this one. It's 1,000 watts, 250 watts per channel. You can charge 4 batteries at one time, completely different profiles, and you get like 30 volts in. It's insanely good. It's a good spec device, especially for that price. At $139, man, that's just really hard to beat that one. Very good product for the money as far as I can tell so far. I have to just say so far, okay? All right, next up is the LiPo battery bags. We did a video on this one, and you can see in my history, look right there, purchased 2 times. One was for the burn, and the second one was for the for keeps. It's the one that I decided to keep. So the LiPo battery bags, definitely a worthwhile purchase. And if you look at the ratings, this is, by the way, I want to give you guys a little tip on Amazon. I pay attention to ratings, and I look for products that have a lot of ratings. If they have 1 or 2 stars, you know, then I need someone to test it and show me on video. But when you see 500 ratings and they have 4.5 stars, 4.4, that's pretty good. That's normally a pretty good indicator. And of course, I did the video on this one. So at $15, it's just a good price for this bag. I also really like the little dividers they include. So that allows you to set the bag up per your use case. So, and they just work. So at 15 bucks, the LifePo battery bag's kind of a no-brainer. I definitely will be using these going forward. So, all right, next up, let's take a look and see what's coming up next. Oh, check this. I just wanted to show you this. Look at this. Look at the last purchase. January 2nd, 2016 is the last time I purchased this. I paid $100 for mine. Right now it's $115, so it's gone up slightly. But these Hacko FX888s, I'm just telling you guys, listen. I used to monkey around with Wellers and the cheaper soldering irons for a long time, and I finally got fed up with the tips going bad, the heat not being constant, not knowing what the temperature was. A friend of mine in Arizona said, look, man, just get one of these Hacko FX888s, and I did, and look at this. I bought it in January of 2016, and I still have it, and it still works, and I love it. If that soldering station blew up tomorrow, I would immediately replace it on Amazon. So the Hacko FX888D, I've been using this, what is it, 7 years, right? 7 years, 2016 is when I bought that. That's 7 freaking years. It's a good soldering station. Very strong, high temperature goes up to 100. I think it goes up to like 890, something ridiculous. I don't even go up that high. So it's just good. It's worth the spend, and definitely, if you know anything at all about my channel, you know I solder a lot of stuff. I batteries, flight control boards, receivers. I'm constantly using my iron. This is just a really good one for the hobby. I definitely like that one. And if mine broke tomorrow, 1 second, I'd have another one on order on Amazon. No questions asked. All right, next up is solder. This is the Kester solder. You know, this is another one. When Radio Shack kind of stopped, you know, their retail operation went out and they went back to mainly an online thing. I couldn't get my hands on that purple I couldn't get my hands on the purple Radio Shack solder anymore. And I went through a whole bunch, man. I bought this kind of stuff right down here. I bought stuff like this and tried it out, and it all sucked. All of it sucked. This Kester stuff is almost like gold in solder form. It melts easy. It gives great solder joints. It flows really cleanly. It's just, as far as I can tell, it's the best. And check this out. My last purchase, I still have it. My last purchase, yeah, it's a little spendy at 36 bucks, but the last time I bought this was in 2020. You know, that's a full November 9, just over 3 years ago, and I still have some. And I solder a lot of stuff. So this Kester solder, no doubt about it, it's the product to get if you're in the hobby. And if you want to stop monkeying around with this cheap tin, you know, unleaded crap, go ahead. But this is money. This Kester solder, it's money. I love it. All right. Next up, now I referenced the Creality 3D printer. This is the Ender 3 V3. And I use this one. I actually don't have this one. I have an older version of a Creality, but the bottom line is get a 3D printer. If you don't have one, these are $200, $220. This one now has auto leveling built in. I mean, if you know anything about 3D printing, that kind of makes me a little jealous. That built-in auto leveling, auto Z offset. It's got the color screen. And it looks like a direct drive extruder. So this is just I mean, they've come so far with 3D printers, and at $219. I mean, what are you waiting for? If you don't have a 3D printer, that's all I can say. What are you waiting for? I can't even begin to tell you how often I use a 3D printer in the hobby. All the time. I'm always printing stuff. So if you don't have yourself a 3D printer yet, get one. The Crealities are pretty good. There are a lot of other options out there, but my Creality that I bought, I don't know, 3 years ago now, still running, still use it, and I use it fairly regularly. So 3D printer, check out the Creality Ender 3. Part of the reason I like the Crealities is because they're well supported in software and parts. So you can always find parts for Creality, even OEM parts. So other manufacturers make stuff for Creality as well. So the Creality Ender 3, that's a really good series of 3D printer. I love mine. I would be devastated if I didn't have it. I would immediately get another one. All right, next up is the laser engraver. This was actually a sponsored video earlier in the year. CER sent the L2 36-watt laser out to me. When they listed it, it was like $1,700. This one's on sale right now for $1,000. And I know that's not cheap. I'm aware. There are cheaper options out there, but what I want to point out is this one's got a 36-watt laser. That's quite powerful. And what that means is your cuts go a little bit faster. You don't have to make as many passes. You can cut thicker material. It's just a strong laser. And I can tell you, I use this laser to, I think I did the video 4 months ago, 5 months ago, something like that. And I still use this almost every day. I use this laser and it's still chugging along just fine. So it's a quality piece, seems to work quite well. And yep, it's a little spendy, but again, this is one of those things that once you get it, you'll wonder how on earth you got along without it, because you can make whatever you want. Anything, it's your imagination is the limit. You can make stuff out of wood. You can cut it. You can make it out of plastics. Certain other materials are available to cut. It's just a no-brainer to have. So if you're into modeling, especially if you're in the modeling aspect of RC, this is definitely a tool. If you don't have one, you're missing out. And you also don't have to spend $1,000. There are cheaper options out there. I included this one because I have personal experience with it, and it's held up quite well for me, and it's powerful. It's a 36-watt laser, so it's very powerful. Okay, so that's enough on the laser. Next up, this one is going to feel, you're going to be like, wait a minute, did he just put scissors on YouTube? No, I didn't just put scissors on YouTube. I go through so many models that I'm constantly cutting Velcro. I'm cutting wire. I'm cutting Velcro strips. I'm cutting decals. I cut all kinds of stuff with glue on it. And what I love about these Fiskars, and I've gone through so many pairs of scissors, it's almost ridiculous. What I love about these is that they are titanium nonstick. So look at the ratings. And this 4.5 stars, 94 ratings, they're titanium nonstick. So if you ever cut a piece of double-sided tape and your scissors stick to that double-sided tape, and then the double-sided tape folds over on you, and then it gets stuck on your hand, and then it gets stuck on your roll, and then by then you turn in the air blue, you know what I'm talking about, right? The double-sided tape doesn't even stick to these. All the web tape that I use, the reinforced Scotch 3M tape that I use for different things that I'm putting together, that doesn't stick to these either. So the tape and the glue just comes right off the blade, so it doesn't gum up your blade. Your blade stays sharp. Without having this type of coating, I used to have to constantly clean my blades with alcohol just so I could get a clean cut. And then it really annoys you when you try and get a clean cut and you find out your blades are gummed up with glue and you just destroyed whatever it is you're trying to cut. These Fiskar titanium nonsticks, I love them. I'm glad I found them, and I've had these now for several months and I haven't cleaned them once. And they're still as sharp as the day that I got them. I just absolutely love these scissors. Seems kind of silly, but if you're in the hobby and you're doing a lot of modeling, these are scissors that are good to have. These are a great tool to have in your toolbox. Speaking of good tools, I'm bringing up the Wow Stick. I've covered this one on a couple of other videos, and I still use it. Last night, I was putting the Corsair together from FMS, and it had these crazy long screws for the wing. I busted out the Wow Stick, and I just sat there and pressed a button, and it screwed it in. This is not a high torque device. It's not meant to do high torque load stuff, but I'll tell you what. It's got a little flashlight, all kinds of bits in this one. It's a 64-bit kit, so 64 bits. That's not like a computer lingo. That means 64 bits that go into the head of the screwdriver, the screw tip. So 64 different tips that you can put in, and it just works. It just works. I use it. I still use it. I just used it last night putting the Corsair together. So I'm glad I have my Wow Stick. If this died, I certainly would buy another one pretty fast. I wouldn't even think about it. All right, next up is the FMS model airplane stand. These are made out of aluminum. They've got foam around the cradle so you don't damage your airplane. And while they look like they're kind of tall, you can twist this little knurled knob and you can flatten them down. These are really nice because they collapse down to very small space. They're easy to store. They're fairly sturdy, even for larger planes. And this is something, if you needed to, you could easily take to the field with you because it gets real small real easy. So these airplane stands are nice to have. And again, look at the ratings. 4.6 stars out of 168 ratings. That's pretty good on Amazon. That's pretty good. So I like mine. I use mine regularly. This is a product that FMS sent me for review some time ago, and I still use it. I think I got this back in July. So I still use it pretty much every airplane build. I whip this out, and it's how I put my planes together. It's just very convenient. I love them. Treat yourself to an airplane stand. That'd be a great Christmas gift. All right, next up is the VenLab. You guys can see I purchased this on October 15th, 2023. This is the VenLab VM600. This has shown up on the channel a couple of times. I just can't say enough about this one. And look at the deal they're running. They got a Black Friday deal on this guy, 18 bucks. Now I'm going to tell you, if you haven't caught my other material on this one, I compared this multimeter accuracy to a $400 Fluke 87.5, and it was within like 0.02 of a volt, 0.03 of a volt. Very, very close. Very accurate device for $18.60. Even if you don't need a super high precision device, this is a great one to put in your box and just have handy. And it does current measurement too. So it'll go up to 20 amps. It's fused, and it'll do all the standard stuff. It'll measure AC, DC, current. It's got a little flashlight. It's got a backlight on the screen. Very accurate device for 18 bucks. This one, definitely a wish list item, no question about it. If I didn't have this, I wish I did. And I don't even know how they do it for $18. It's just absolutely insane that they can do that for 18 bucks. Very good meter. And by the way, you don't even have to take my word for it. Go on YouTube and search for the VenLab VM600, and you'll see. Go watch the vlogs for electronics channels, and the ones that did the reviews on this. You'll see what they say about it. You don't even have to take my word for it. Just go watch those and then come back and buy it. It's a good meter. It's a good meter. All right, next up are jeweler screwdrivers. This might be another one that sounds kind of silly, but for years I messed around with those yellow Stanleys with the plastic arms, the plastic bodies, and it was just such a pain in the neck because anytime I had to put any leverage or any purchase on them, they'd always bend, the plastic tips would come off, the arms would break. I went through like 5 sets of those. I finally said, you know what? I'm just going to find a metal set. And I did. I went out and found a metal set. Now, my metal set looks a little different than this one. The one that I bought, they no longer have, but this is the same concept. It is the same exact idea. It's a metal handle. It's got the right tips for hobby, and it's only $11.99. 20% off on Black Friday, $11.99. If you don't have a good set of jeweler screwdrivers in the hobby, you're killing yourself. Go buy yourself some nice jeweler screwdrivers. Go get them. Buy a couple spares. Keep them out in the garage. Keep them in your field box. Throw a set in your car. It's just worth it. And every single time I build a model, I get out my metal jeweler screwdriver. So definitely check these out and stop buying the cheap plastic handle ones. They're just, your life is so much better with these. So definitely get those. Now this one, you guys are really going to be like, man, he went around the bend with this. What the hell is he talking about? I learned about these back in Arizona. They're blank gift cards. So they're white blank gift cards. And you go out and buy a stack. They're $4.79, and you'll be stunned at the things that you can use these for. You can use them. Here's one use. What if you have to separate a piece of Velcro on a battery in a very tight to reach spot? If you watched my Corsair video and you saw where that battery goes, you can use these cards. You just basically cut them down, make them a little narrower, and you can use it as a shimmy to break Velcro loose. That's one use case. We used to make FPV camera mounts with these. We take 2 cards, stack them on top of each other, drill the corners out, stuff the sponge, the sponge hearing protectors in the hole. You roll them like you're rolling a cigarette, and then you stick them in the hole. You separate it out, and now you've got a shock absorbing platform for a camera. You can use these for landing gear reinforcement. I know Fred was working on his yak and he had a little bit of a problem. I said, Fred, go get a credit card or a gift card, cut it up, put it right here. And he did, and he was up and running. These little gift cards, it's one of these creativity things, right? You're only limited to your creativity. I figured I'd put these up there so you'd have an idea what I'm talking about. You get a 20 pack for $4, $5. Throw them in your tool stash, and you'll be surprised how often you can use these. I still keep these in stock, and I still use them on a somewhat regular basis. Not as much as I did when I was doing a lot of FPV, but I still do use them. They come in handy from time to time. All right, next up, this is just a stand-in. These are metric screw assortments. You can get all kinds of screw assortments on Amazon. I put these in here because this is typical for the hobby. This is an M2, M3, M4 kit. You might need 6, you might need M7, you might need M8, you might need something other than this. This is just a placeholder to give you an idea. Make sure you get out there and get yourself screw assortments. And it's nice to have these ahead of time because when you're putting a model together and something goes wrong and you don't have the right screw, it really stresses you out. But if you have screws like this in your stash and something goes wrong, you're like, it's fine. I'll just get another one. You know, if you strip the head, if you strip the screw, if you break the screw, I've been tightening screws up and had the head just break right off, the entire head break right off. And I think to myself, it's cheap steel, but just go out and get yourself a kit like this and keep it in your stash. And that way, if something goes wrong while you're building, no problem. Don't worry about it. You just go get another one and you put it in and off you go. You don't have to rifle through your drawer looking through all your spare screws that are completely disorganized. You know what I'm talking about. It's nice to have these, and they come in all kinds of different sizes. So definitely make sure you check out Metric Screw Assortments. They have all kinds of these kits on Amazon, and I have stacks of these things, all kinds of different screw assortment kits. All right, next up, this one is the Joy Lens. I just did a video on this one, and I'll tell you why this one made my list even after such a short time. And it's because after I did the video, I had one guy in comments say, hey, have you tried soldering with it yet? And I had someone on Discord ping me and say, hey, have you tried soldering on it yet? And I asked the guy on Discord, what's the problem? He goes, well, you don't really have depth perception. They have these dual camera models that take the image from two sides, and they give you depth perception, so it makes it a lot easier to solder. And I said, oh, that sounds pretty good. And I went and looked, and it was only 10 grand. It was only $10,000 for the dual lens version. And I thought, you know what? I'll stick with my $159 Joy lens. So I decided to put the Joy Lens microscope on the table, and I got some receivers. I got some EPW6s. I had to solder pins, and I did it. I just wanted to try it and see what happened, and it was fine. I'm not gonna blow smoke up your skirt and say it was exactly the same thing as soldering while you're looking at the workpiece. It's not. It's a little different because based on the comment, you do actually lose a little depth perception. However, you just do a hybrid approach. You eyeball it when you set your iron down on the workpiece, and then you start looking at the screen. And once you do that, you can move from pin to pin to pin. And I even put a video on Discord showing me soldering for the very first time, and it worked just fine. So I think what I really, really liked about this microscope was that if you've ever soldered stuff on a board and you try and look at it, you're like, did I cross a wire? Is this soldered correctly? Did I get a good seal? Did I flow the solder correctly? You ask all those questions. And if you're like me and you have the glasses, I've got the glasses, right? So if you're like me and you got the glasses, sometimes it can be pretty hard to see. This microscope, that ends all those questions. All those questions are over. So I can now solder with that microscope, and I can inspect my work to make sure it's done correctly. And that's why it made my list. Now that I have it, it's one of those tools that I want to keep. I definitely want to keep this one. So if you've never checked out a digital microscope, make sure you take a look. And they have other options. This one is a 3-lens version. It's got a 10-inch screen, and you can output to your monitor, by the way. You can take the feed off the screen that they give you and pipe it into your desktop monitor, and you can watch your soldering right on your desktop. It's really cool. And I was fine with it. I had no problem soldering. Again, it's definitely a little different experience, no question. But it's not like it's some crazy obstacle to climb. It's definitely doable. Okay, so check out the digital microscope. All right, next we're getting into miscellaneous stuff. This is not necessarily RC related, but I did want to point out this is what I've been running. If you guys have been around on the channel for a while, at some period I was having network problems, and it turned out that these home Wi-Fi routers that you get, they just kind of go bad over time. And so I did some homework and did some reading, and these TP-Link Deco AX5400s are a mesh system, and look at the reviews. Look at the Amazon reviews. 3,300 ratings, 4.4 higher. So I thought, all right, it's Amazon. I'll give them a try. I've been using these now for a couple of months. I got them in February, and my network performance issues have gone out the freaking window. I like these so much, I bought another one, and now I'm kind of spreading them out around my house. So these TP-Link Deco AX5400 tri-bands, they support Wi-Fi 6, which is very fast. They're fairly simple to set up, although I'm going to give you a warning. They do kind of limit the configurability of these a little bit. You have to do most of the work in the app on a phone. The web browser version is not as complete as the app version on your phone. So just keep that in mind. If you're a consumer, if you're not like a Wi-Fi router network geek like I am, that you kind of feel a need to twist every knob on a router, this is probably not the one for you. If you don't have that requirement and you're willing, you're more of a consumer, you just want to turn it on, plug it in, get it up and running, say yes to a few things, these are a pretty good solution. I've been using them now since February, and I got to tell you, my network speeds are solid with these, and I've been very happy with them. So the TP-Link Deco tri-band, they're good to have. And by the way, that'll mean you can watch more of my videos without buffering, right? Right? Okay. The last thing on the list, I haven't bought these yet. I have a generic set of non-polarized, but I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to order these. I got myself some non-polarized glasses based on some conversation I have with some of the guys about visibility of airplanes at the field. And I've been using the polarized stuff, and I've experimented. I've played with non-polarized. And after buying a set of non-polarized glasses, I found these Oakleys that use the prism lens. And the prism lens, not all the prism lenses are necessarily polarized or not polarized, so you have to read the material about the one you're interested in. But the other thing that I've learned about the prism lenses is even the polarized version of prism, they tend to perform quite well outside for model aviation purposes. So again, check out the ratings, 4.6 stars, 890 ratings. And then if you go do a little Google search on best sunglasses for RC flying, prism lenses come in quite high. People seem to have a very favorable opinion of them. So I will be trying out the Oakley aviator sunglasses with the prism lens technology. And you know how it is, man. The older we get, we need a little bit of help with the eyesight stuff. And I think a good pair of sunglasses can really help. I can tell you that I've flown with crap sunglasses, and that's not a lot of fun. So a lot of times when that goes on, I just take the sunglasses off and fly without them altogether. So I'm going to try the Oakleys out, and I'll let you know how it works out. This is on my wish list, and this is one of those things I wish my wife would buy me. So we'll end there. I've seen a whole bunch of comments go by, but this is one of those videos where I'm going to answer questions, but hopefully you guys had a little fun chatting during the session. I would remind you before we end the video, all the links for everything you saw are in the description. They're all affiliate links. So if you use my affiliate links, the channel is eligible for a commission paid by the seller. It doesn't cost you anything extra. You don't pay anything extra for that. That's just a little thing that they do to help us, for doing this kind of work, right? Putting in this kind of effort. So if you're willing to use those affiliate links, that'd be great. And that brings us to the end. Black Friday is right around the corner. I can tell you guys tonight, I'm a free man. My wife took off and went up to go hunting with her father. So she took my son with her. My son and wife are up hunting, and I've got the house pretty much to myself. So I'm going to go flying. I'm going to see what I can find on Black Friday. I'm going to do a little shopping for the wife on Black Friday. I'm going to be on Discord. I'm going to be hanging out tonight. So I hope to see you over there on Discord. That's all I've got for tonight. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your Thanksgiving holiday, and I hope you have a lot of fun getting gifts for your loved ones out on Black Friday. And if you score good deals, make sure you get on Discord and let us know what you found. That's all I've got for tonight. Take it easy. Thanks for watching.